Welcome to Intuitive Transformations with your host, Sylvia Henderson, and discover tools, wisdom, and inspiration that will empower you to transform your life. Sylvia is an intuitive life coach and energy healer with a growing practice that is focused on empowering others to be more of who they want to be. For the next hour, join Sylvia and explore and unravel anything in the way of you creating the life that you would love to live on the OMTimes Radio Network.
Hello, and good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hello, this is Sylvia Henderson, and this is the Intuitive Transformations Radio Show, where you will find tools that you can use to transform your life. And I just want to remind you, you are listening to the crystal clear high definition sound of OMTimes Radio, which is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I don't know if you know this or not, but you can take OMTimes Radio with you no matter where you are in the world, because you don't need to download a mobile app to access OMTimes Radio, which is pretty awesome. And that's something I think is, from what I understand, unique to OMTimes Radio, because most other internet radio networks out there, they require you to download a mobile app in order to access their shows on your own mobile device. So that's something that we offer here at OMTimes Radio for all of our listeners, that you can have us on your phone, have us on your iPad, your whatever your device is that you use for your mobile device. So I hope you all have had a really wonderful week. As we prepare to move into Monday. I've got some great information I'm going to share with you this evening. But before I do, I wanted to ask you if you've had a chance to take a look at the most recent edition of OMTimes magazine, because if you haven't, I really would like to invite you to do so. It just came out today, and it's the one that has Colette Baron-Reid on the cover, and she is absolutely awesome. She's actually been to Seattle. She came in last year with a good friend of mine who is also an amazing psychic, and he's also a cosmic coach. His name is Dougal Fraser. So the two of them came into Seattle together and kind of tag teamed, and they made a wonderful contribution here to our community in Seattle. But there's an article in this newest edition that really caught my eye. It's entitled, "Why Facing Our Truth is Important If We Are to Heal Our Lives," and it's written by a gentleman named Shavasti. I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't want to tell you what the article is about exactly, other than its title, "Why Facing Our Truth is Important If We Are to Heal Our Lives." But I would really encourage you to read it. It's a great article, and it's very relevant in regards to what I plan to share with you all today. So please do read it. And there's so many other great articles in the magazine. I just have been so impressed with OMTimes ever since my first edition arrived in my email about over a year ago. And also, just to remind you, the radio network that we have here that you're listening to me on right now, I don't know if you've noticed, but you can have this on 24 hours a day, because there is some amazing music that's on too. It's very thoughtfully chosen. Sometimes it's that really lovely smooth jazz, and sometimes it's very contemplative, great music for some meditative thought. But it's nice to just have it playing in the background all day long. That's pretty much what has become my habit now, where I used to listen to Pandora. Now I just plug in OMTimes Radio and just keep it running. And it's really quite enjoyable. It's very nurturing and very supportive, which is something I think we all need today. I have to tell you this, it was kind of funny. Before, as I was prepping for the show earlier, I was on my laptop, and I was drinking some tea, and I made the wrong move, and some of the tea splashed onto my keyboard, which I tell you, I don't think I've ever moved quite that quickly to like flip it upside down so that none of the water seeped into the keyboard there. And I am so grateful and so thankful that my trusty MacBook Pro is still functioning 110% in spite of my little incident with the T there. And if you did not have a chance to listen to me last week, I want to encourage you to visit the OMTimes Radio archives. I had a really amazing guest on. His name is Guy Joseph Ale, brilliant gentleman. And I'm happy to share that Guy is also going to be on Angela Levesque's show this Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to check that show out too. I know I'm going to listen in. I think that Guy is absolutely brilliant. He's cutting edge, and I really think he's someone that people need to hear. So before we get started on tonight's topic, for those of you that are listening to me for the very first time, allow me to introduce myself if you're new to my show. I'm an intuitive life coach, I'm an energy healer, and I specialize in stress relief. I'm also clairvoyant, clairaudient, and empathic, which allows me, this is what allows me to get to the root of whatever it is that is stressful in your life and help you to resolve it. Either if, whether it's in your relationship or finances or health or career or any other area of your life, I have this innate ability to be able to get to the very core root of it. Because here's the thing, if you pull up a dandelion weed, guess what's going to happen in a matter of weeks? There's going to be a whole brand new dandelion there. You have to dig the roots out. You have to get to the root to really resolve the core issues, what's driving the boat of what may be your challenges or what may be your obstacles or where you may be stuck. And it's just something that I love doing, and very effective at it. If you'd like to get in touch with me, if you have any questions, if you'd like to book an appointment, or if you want to just say, hi, Sylvia, please send me an email. My email is sylvia@intuitivetransformations.net, or you can visit my website and check me out there at intuitivetransformations.net, just like the name of the show here. And I promise you, I'll get right back to you as soon as I can and make our connection happen. And just as an FYI, I did mention about 2 weeks ago that I'll be putting together a Facebook group exclusively for my listeners so that we can start building a community and start sharing, so you have a place to share your thoughts and even offer suggestions for the show, because honestly, this show is not for me. This is about you. This is about allowing you to step into more of who you are, to empower you, allowing you to embrace more of life and live it more full out, live it more expansively. There's so many people here on the planet that are living life from a point of view of limitation and restriction and playing it small, maybe not even feeling like you've had permission to really be all that you can possibly be. And so that is what, to me, this show is all about, expanding your awareness and equipping you and empowering you so that you can have more real estate of your authentic self. And that means equipping you to stand in your truth, to speak your truth with love and compassion, but speak your authentic truth, to have really good, healthy boundaries, and to create a life that you're going to enjoy living instead of a life that you're just enduring. So please listen next week, because that is the plan. We're going to have this Facebook group set up so that we have this really lovely community where we can connect. So I have to admit that I had a lot of resistance within myself that came up when it came to putting together this evening show. And I think some of that is because there just seems to be so much going on energetically right now on the planet. There's and it just had a feeling of heaviness and almost burdensome that I wasn't intending for it to feel. And I know that a lot of people right now are having things come up in their life and feeling more challenged, feeling more stressed out, feeling more overwhelmed, feeling a lot more resistance where things were a little easier, or having surprise conflicts come out of the blue, or accidents that are happening. And just to give you some insight on what's going on, everybody's kind of going through the same shift. There's a lot of stuff going on astrologically, and it's happening really for our highest and best good. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's bringing things up to the surface that we normally suppress. It's allowing us to look at some of the anger we've been holding on to, some of the guilt we've been holding on to, some of the regret, and it's just coming up so that we can forgive it and release it. So that, I think, is really what the fruit of this conversation tonight is going to be about. Um, because tonight's topic is yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can make it through. I promise you. I'm here to support you and encourage you along the way. And that means that whatever it is that you're going through, it's temporary. Because the one thing we can all depend on, that is the only constant thing that we have, is change. Change is the one thing that is constant, that is always going to happen. So no matter whatever the resistance is that you're hitting up against, it's going to dissolve, and it's going to shift, and it's going to change, and you're going to be able to move through it. And so my goal this evening is to give you some tools, and they're very practical tools. They're not airy-fairy. They're very practical tools that you can implement within your life that will produce some shifts and changes. Just very simple things you can do. Because there is so much stuff coming up right now for people to acknowledge, bless, release, and heal, that you might be feeling jostled, but it's really important to know, and I'm hoping you'll get that from this show, that you are safe and all is well. And so with that, we're going to go into a brief break. Please stay with me. When we return, I'm going to give you some tools you can use.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Free your mind with OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello again. You are listening to Sylvia Henderson on Intuitive Transformations on the OMTimes Radio Network on IOM FM. Thank you for coming back. We were talking about this evening's topic being yes, you can, before we went into the break. And as I was saying earlier, this is all coming up for us to heal and release. Any of the resistance you have that's happening in your life, any of the challenges, any of the conflicts, any of the struggle, any of the striving, it's all coming up so that we can acknowledge that it's there and just let it go so that we can move forward. Let it go is like the mantra for 2015. Just let go of everything that does not serve you. It's not worth it. You cannot move forward into life holding on to all of yesterday's baggage. It's not fitting through the door anymore, folks. That's why all this stuff is happening, because it's time finally for us to say, that happened in the past. Let me create something new. Let me create something more positive. Let me create something more uplifting and move forward into the future with that. So it's just that old stuff that no longer serves you that's coming up to be healed. And I know, trust me, I know it does not feel good when you're going through it, because I too am going through this growth process that we're all going through. And as I said, it's just some unnecessary process. This too shall end, because the one thing we can count on is change. And so even when life is hard or overwhelming, it doesn't seem to be working out the way you prefer, just know this, that's why you're here listening to this show. You did not find this show by accident. It is by design. It always is. There are no such things as accidents in the universe. Everything, and I do mean everything is intentional and for your highest and best good. So you are here on purpose. And for that reason, I hope you'll listen to the entire show and receive something that you can use that will allow you to improve and transform your life. So I have a few questions for you to ponder. And the questions, of course, are related to this evening's show. Are you feeling a little stressed out? Am I the only one? Are you feeling a little bit stuck and overwhelmed? Are you just feeling like it's hard? Like every moment forward, you hit a wall that I call the great wall of resistance. As I was saying earlier, you're not alone. But knowing that there are others does not solve your problem, right? We've got to do something about it. So let's see what we can do. It's really important to note and to remind you, because we do live in a magnetic vibrational universe, that the higher your thoughts are, the higher your vibration. And the higher your vibration, the better your life will be. So everything that I'm going to share with you this evening is about raising and expanding your thoughts and consciousness at a higher level. And why is that important? I'm going to tell you. Because we are the captains and the creators of our lives. Life is not happening to you. Life is happening through you. And this is not a blame game. It's not about making, you feel like, oh, did I really just mess up my life because that's what's going on? No, let that go. Leave that. That's old school thinking. Leave it at the door. That guilt does not need to go into 2015. This is just about giving you that awareness, because it's about making your life better and more expansive than it is today. Maybe your life is really expansive and you just want more. Great. Maybe your life feels very constricted and contracted and you just want more. Great. Doesn't matter where you are or where you're starting from. We're all headed in the same direction. So this is about helping you move from no, I can't, and stepping into your power of yes, I can. Because here's the thing, whether you think you can or you think you can't, guess what? You're always right. Because we live in a universe that always says yes. So when you say I can't, the universe says, yeah, you're right. We agree with you. You can't, because that's what you believe. And when you say, yes, I can, the universe says, yes, that's right. We agree with you. Yes, you can, because you believe that you can. And the universe supports whatever it is we believe without any judgment. It's unconditional. It doesn't have a preference. If you want to focus on, oh, this is so hard, this is so difficult, this is so challenging, you're just focusing on what is and you're creating more of that. But if you focus on looking toward where you want to be, knowing that where you are today does not determine your future, you'll be surprised how doors will start to open, synchronicities will start happening in your life, and things will start moving in a direction that allow you to see, yes, I can. Now, I did mention earlier there's some astrological stuff going on that makes it a little stickier or tougher to move forward as easily as we normally do, but that's all going to lift soon. The key is stay the course, keep thinking positive, high vibrational thoughts, and you'll start seeing changes in your life. This is really why it is so important to keep your thoughts positive and your judgments neutral, because the yes factor in the universe is universal law. And just like the law of gravity is third dimensional reality, we can't dispute it. There is such a thing as gravity. It happens all the time. The fact that everything says yes to whatever you believe is truth for you. And it's a universal law. So when I get into this pattern of feeling like I can't, I sometimes forget, and yes, I go there too. I motivate people and I try to inspire them, but I have my days, trust me. For instance, when that tea spilled on my keyboard, I almost went there for a moment like, oh no, what'll happen if it dies on me? But when I do forget that I do take a moment when I notice I've forgotten, let me put it that way, because sometimes I forget that I've forgotten. But when I come back to my right mind and I notice that I've forgotten, that I'm going in the wrong direction, I remind myself that all the solutions to my problems rest within myself. That's where your inspiration comes from. It comes from within you. And let's face it, when you're in a problem, in a difficult situation, unless you're willing to accept advice, you typically don't accept the advice of other people unless it also resonates with you. So it has to be in alignment with your truth. Otherwise, you're just following somebody else's advice and disowning the truth of who you are. And that never works out really well. So when I say that the solutions to my problems are within me, this is what I mean. The mind, meaning your consciousness, is designed to answer any question that you ask it. So, to quote a very famous motivational speaker, his name is Tony Robbins. I'm sure you've heard of Tony Robbins. If you want better answers, you have to ask better questions. And this is absolutely true. So if you're asking questions that are small, contractive, and limiting, you're going to receive small, contractive, and limiting answers. Conversely, if you ask big, expansive, unlimiting questions that will release you into something different than what you're experiencing in the present moment, you will receive big, expansive, and unlimiting answers. For instance, if you happen to feel somewhat victimized by your circumstances, you might find yourself asking the why me question, or my other favorite that people tend to go to, and I used to abuse quite a bit in the earlier part of my life, was, what did I do to deserve this? Why is this happening to me? Whatever you are going through in your life right now, no matter how bad it may seem to you at the moment, please, please do not ask those questions. Those questions are like the kiss of death when it comes to lowering your vibrational frequency, because they keep you stuck in what's going on and don't allow you to look at anything other than what's going on right now. And in this reality that we're in, where we create our own reality, whatever you focus on, it expands. So it just keeps you stuck at looking at the negative aspects. It doesn't allow you to see anything different. And the second reason, which is what I stated a moment ago, is that your mind is designed to answer any question that you ask it. So it will proceed to give you a long laundry list of all of your dirt, of all of the low vibrational evidence, all of that very judgmental evidence to justify why you deserve to have whatever is happening to you in the moment happen to you. It'll bring up stuff from when you were a kid and you took a quarter out of your mom's purse. I literally had this happen with a client come in to see me, and when she was a little girl, she stole some money out of her mother's purse. And she would do this a few times, but she felt so incredibly guilty about it. And as an adult, she was in a job where she had, I don't want to say falsified, but she had omitted some information that she needed to put on the form about what had happened. And it got discovered. She got found out. And interestingly enough, it took her back to that experience when she stole the money out of her mom's purse. It felt that way to her. You know, the guilt that she felt and the remorse and the regret that she felt came bubbling back up. And so when you ask yourself the question, why is this happening to me? Why me? Why does this always happen to me? You're going to get evidence that is going to be to make you feel guilty and to make you feel bad about yourself. It's not going to be expansive. So you have to ask better questions. So here's what I want to invite you to ask instead. I want you to ask, how can I make this different? That's a great question. Very expansive. That produces change. You know, it just feels different vibrationally even. And not only how can I make this different, but how can I change this? How can I improve this? What else is possible other than what I'm experiencing now? And let your mind focus on that, bringing you some solutions to your problems instead of just shining this magnifying glass on all of your past history where you're still guilting yourself and feeling like you deserve justifying this negative or challenging experience you're going through right now. So we're going to head into another break. And when we return, we're going to continue this conversation. So stay tuned.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
The Conscious Parenting Radio Show provides inspiration and resources for loving, empowering, and respecting your children and yourself. Join me, Timothy, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we consciously explore proven ways of living together in happiness, health, and harmony.
Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hi, and welcome back. This is Sylvia on Intuitive Transformations on the OMTimes Radio Show. And we've been talking about, yes, You can. You can. You can do it. You can get through whatever it is you're going through. Trust me. If I can get through some of the things I've gone through in life, and if you're curious, go to my website and read my bio, or even go to the OMTimes radio show page and read my bio and just kind of get a glimpse of some of the things I've gone through. Trust me, you can do this. It's just a matter of shifting your perception, changing some beliefs, and continuing to put one foot right in front of the other. So I was talking earlier about asking better questions to help you get some better solutions to whatever it is that you're going through. And one other suggestion I have for you all is to do something that will allow fresh energy into your life. So, earlier in the show, I was saying that a lot of the stuff that's coming up is coming up so that you can release the things that are no longer serving you. Well, why don't you get a jump start on that? Here's a couple of suggestions. Get rid of some of that excess clutter that you might have in your home, the things you're not using. Start cleaning out your closets, cleaning out your garage, your living space, your car, your storage space if you have one. It's amazing how many people in America, I don't know about other countries, but in America have storage spaces with stuff that does not fit in their home that they haven't looked at in years, but they feel they just can't let go of it. Let it go. Donate it, or make somebody else happy. Go to a homeless shelter and contribute. Boy, talk about changing your energy and shifting your vibration. Giving something to someone else who could really benefit and use what you have is huge. That is huge. When you talk to people who are living their life purpose, that is one of the factors, that's one of the attributes of someone who is truly living their life purpose, is they're giving something away to someone else to better their life. And that clutter, that extra stuff that you don't need, that you're not using, that you haven't used in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it's weight. It's dragging down your energy. I've walked into some individuals' homes and they have extra stuff in their home that's not quite so organized. And instantly, my energy feels heavier. And I've talked to clients who have some extra clutter and trying to develop some processes or strategies to alleviate that. When they first think of it, trying to clean the whole thing at one time, it just drains their energy. But it's always been draining their energy. It's just that they've learned to ignore it. So if you've got extra stuff you don't need, you're not using, get rid of it. Why keep it? What are you going to try to, have it buried with you when you die? Think about how many lives could be uplifted with some of the extra stuff you have that you've purchased that you're not using. You could get, and just think about how that would make you feel. That right there, giving to someone something that they can use and having them receive it with such great gratitude because they could never afford it or never receive anything that nice, is going to pull your energy up so high and help you move through whatever the resistance is that you're going through right now. And just, if you tend to hold on to a lot of things in your living environment, purging and cleaning that out, getting stuff out of the closets, and I have to do it too. Like, I'm thinking about my garage right now as I'm talking to you on the radio. I'm like, that's the next thing I'm going to be hitting for sure. That will open up your energy resources, because there's this thing called, there's this modality called feng shui within, and they used to use it in China as a form of therapeutic medicine. Is they would go, as the Chinese practitioners would go into your home and see if the chi of the home was fluidly flowing, because that's the life force that you have to live in. So just doing that will open up and free it will make room for new energy to come in. Trust me on this. This happens every time. Clean out your closet. You might be surprised. New clothes may suddenly appear. The other thing is that falls into alignment of getting rid of what no longer serves you. forgiveness. So the big question here is there anyone that you can think of in your life that you need to forgive? And I know this is a real big one for people. It's a big one for me because trust me, there are some people in my life, it's been a challenge. As a matter of fact, there's one person in particular that I'll confess, my ex-husband. I didn't realize I still had a lot of anger about how our separation went, or how our uncoupling went, which is what people are calling it now. They're not calling it divorce, they're calling it uncoupling. But I had to really work through some anger that I had about that situation that I was holding on to that I didn't even know was there. And I tell you, when I did it, it really opened me up. Because here's the thing about forgiveness, because I could do a whole show on that in of itself. It affects your money. It affects your energy. And when you don't have, and it doesn't matter if it's an organization, if it's a government, if it's a criminal, if it's, people in your life, it's restricting your energy and not theirs. And when you allow yourself to forgive and release your judgment of whether something's good or bad, you actually free up more space within your energy field, within your life, to access more freedom for you. So I tell you, when I was still holding on to that, harboring that unforgiveness toward my ex, because I just felt like, first of all, you haven't even asked for my to be forgiven, and you need to, was my mindset. When I every time I saw him, I would get triggered. I would, pardon my language, I get my panties all knotted up in a bunch because I would tighten up. I was reacting different. I wasn't being me. It didn't allow me the freedom to be who I really am in every moment. And that to me means that he was holding the puppet strings of how I could feel in my life whenever he was around. And it got to the point where I was like, no more, because it was very contractive and very constrictive. And again, this also, this also has to do if there's an organization or a company. I'm not thrilled with Monsanto and the way that they put chemical toxins in a lot of the food that most of us consume. I mean, it's very telling that many countries have banned a lot of the food from the United States because because of all the chemicals that we put in our food. And anytime farmers have to put on hazmat suits in order to fertilize or put pesticides out on our food, that's kind of unnerving for me. But I can't hold anger toward them. I have to say, okay, they're doing what they're doing for whatever reason, let it go. Because when I can do that, then I can function from a point of view of moving forward with inspired action versus reactive action. Because that puppet string feeling creates a reactive action. And the reaction comes out of I can't hear you, I don't see you, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And it doesn't allow you to just be present and own your whole space and own where you want to be in your life. So that's something to think about. And of course, if you've had something really traumatic happen in your life, like an act of violence, or you've witnessed something really horrific, that kind of jarring shock does actually get etched within your mind and within your energy field even. And it can create PTSD. And at that point, it's important to seek some assistance with anything that's happened that's a very traumatic, jarring event that you feel that you're unable to resolve or move through and let go and release on your own. But no matter what it is, when you release it, no matter how deep the wound and how painful and how scarring it's been, when you can release it, you can breathe again. Doesn't affect your health, It doesn't affect your livelihood. It doesn't affect your ability to expand and do other things. It doesn't affect your ability to be who you are authentically 110% of the time. So, and also just to clarify, I'm not saying that we ignore the injustices in the world. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that the action is much more productive and comes from a higher place when it's inspired action. And letting go of the anger allows you to use that and access inspired action and provoke and create positive change and raise awareness and consciousness at the same time. Because it's a lot more challenging to create positive, effective change when it's coming from a knee-jerk reaction and response because you're being triggered. It's about getting to that place where that person's not triggering you and pulling your puppet strings and making you react because you've just given your power to them. This is not about them. This is about you taking your power back. That's what forgiveness really, that's the gift of forgiveness truly. And so if it's an organization or a government or a company that you feel has done something that's absolutely horrible, unforgivable, find a way somehow to find that place of forgiveness so that you have a greater sense of peace and presence within you. Because truly in that situation, this is about you. This is your opportunity to be narcissistic and take care of yourself. And let karma, God, universe, the law of reciprocity handle the organization or government. Take action. Do the things you're called to do. I know that's something that OMTimes is very called to do. They're raising consciousness, and they're helping people in other countries have what they need, and also protecting beautiful children who through the organization that they support, the charity they support in Africa, who are being brutally treated and killed just because they're albinos. So it's not that you don't take action. Do that, but come from a place of your heart instead of from your head, instead of from the past. So we're going to return in a moment and continue our conversation. And I'm getting some more tools you can use to change and transform your life in a minute.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Katrina Kavanagh, host of the I Am Wisdom radio show. I Am Wisdom is about the connection between mind work and energy work, spirituality, and living a wonderful life. Looking forward to sharing each Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you.
Radio Namaste leads you down the yellow brick road into portals of consciousness with the blue collar goddess as your host. Interviews with humans who could be famous or just popular, and answers to everything are on the agenda. Tune into OMTimes Radio and drop in on Thursdays at 3 Eastern. It's a different brand of enlightenment.
Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com. Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson. You're listening to Intuitive Transformations on the OMTimes radio network, IOM FM. And we have been talking about forgiveness and yes, you can, and asking better questions. And as I said earlier, I could talk the whole show on the importance of forgiveness. I've had to force myself. And yes, it was a force. I had to force myself to do it. But I tell you, every time I was able to work through it and release it, it's been magical and very helpful for me. And it's allowed me to have more peace in my life. And again, just to reiterate, it doesn't mean inaction. It just means the action should be inspired action, which is going to come from a higher vibrational place. Definitely, when you see an injustice, it's about stepping in and doing what you feel called to do from a place of genuinely creating healing and wholeness. And speaking of healing and wholeness, the number one person I would love for you to focus on forgiving is yourself. So many times we are so quick to judge ourselves, to beat ourselves up when things are not going well. We immediately think it's something we've done wrong. Instead of realizing that life is a journey and it ebbs and it flows and it's up and it's down and it goes around the bend sometimes, but it's always leading us to our highest and best, whatever the vision is and the goal and the journey and the desire we've set forth in our life and our future. It's getting us there, but sometimes it has to take a turn and walk around the block a little bit before it goes forward again. Like, I wish I could say life is a straight line. And the key is not to judge your situation or circumstances because you feel like it's gone backwards a little bit. Sometimes it goes backwards a little bit before it goes forward. So just keep that in mind. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself. Be forgiving of yourself when those things happen. Don't make it about you. Don't make it about the quality of who you are or the value of who you are or the worth of who you are. Your worth is stable. It is constant. The circumstances in your life, what's happening outside of you, is not what I would encourage or invite you to use to validate who you are. Your validation comes from the inside out. Don't let the outside circumstances or outside individuals define you, determine what your worth and value is. Only you can determine that. Always know that no matter what other people may think, you are your own judge and jury. So judge yourself kindly. Forgive yourself. Let yourself off the hook. Like that gal that came in as a client that had not yet forgiven herself for taking the money out of her mom's purse when she wasn't looking. Let yourself off the hook. Anything you're holding on to, any of that old stuff, it's in the past. It's over. Doesn't exist anymore. So set yourself free. There's no cost, no price to pay. Stop beating yourself up. Put the baseball bat down. Step away and allow yourself to forgive you regardless of the opinions of others. And so some of you might be thinking, well, Sylvia, that's all fine and dandy, but I'm not going through anything that has to do with clutter in my environment or unforgiveness. So I have another suggestion. And you might think, well, that's kind of random, but it really does work because here's the thing. We are creatures of habit. So my next suggestion is that you do something completely different than what you've ever done. Do something new and novel, something that's totally out of your normal repertoire that you wouldn't even think. Heck, go skydiving. Maybe that's too bold and brazen, but do something to break your current pattern. Because here's the thing, we're creatures of habit. And in fact, it's been scientifically proven that 90% or more of our life is actually just habitual. We get up and we get out of we get out of the bed on the same side every morning, right? We go in the bathroom. We brush our teeth the same way. We put on our makeup the same way. If you put on makeup, if you don't, we take our shower the same way or take our bath the same. Do something different. Just one little change in your pattern, how you eat breakfast. Do something different because it'll break the habit and it'll create a neurological shift in your brain by just doing one thing differently. Do one thing differently a day, every day. Drive a different way to work. Circle around the block in a different direction. Here's what happens when you do that. It opens up, seriously, I know this sounds weird, but it does. It opens up your ability to allow different information in your brain. Because like I said, 97% of what or more of what we do is habitual. Well, if you're stuck and if you're facing some challenges and if you're feeling a lot of resistance, you're not going to be able to move through, change those, solve those problems doing the same thing over and over and over again. You need something new to drop in to your consciousness and awareness. You need some new inspiration. So do something different in your habitual pattern of your daily life that will allow you to do that. The other thing I would ask you to do or suggest is that you also do some affirmations. Now, I know affirmations. The way I do affirmations is so much fun. It's not every morning reading the affirmation when I wake up, reading it in the afternoon, reading it at night. No, I have like about 20 different affirmations. And here's what I've done. Like at 7 o'clock in the morning on my calendar, I have one affirmation that comes up, and it comes up every other week at 7 o'clock in the morning. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I have a completely different affirmation. That one comes up every other week as well. And then at like about 6 o'clock at night, same thing. 10 o'clock at night, same thing. That's like on Monday. On Tuesday, whole different set of 4 affirmations. So what I've done is I've got these great empowering affirmations that pop up on my calendar that remind me of something really positive that I want to focus upon. Like I have one that says, don't give up. You are on the verge of a breakthrough, girl. I have one that says, remember, the universe is here to support you. I have one that will pop up and say, I receive income from expected and unexpected ways on a regular basis. So there are different things that are important to me. And if for you, if there's some health things, you can have one that pops up on your calendar that says, I am grateful that my body knows exactly how to heal itself in perfect and divine order. If you're having a challenge with things in your career, you can say, I am grateful that the perfect job is opening up for me today. And have those kind of affirmations pop up on your calendar at various times through the day. Make them and it's funny because they rotate so much that there are some that are very constant, but there's some that are random and they always come at exactly the right time. It's the funniest thing. It's like I might be feeling a little like, or a little angst or a little frustration, and something will pop up on my calendar and I'm like, oh my God, that was so perfect. I so needed to see that. So that's a great tool that you can easily add in. The last one I want to share, because we don't have a ton of time left, is something called EFT or faster EFT. And I don't know, some of you may have heard of EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. Some of you may have heard of faster EFT, which is faster emotionally focused transformation. And I don't have a ton of time to go into great detail, but these are both really wonderful techniques that you can use that will help you to shift and change your belief systems, help you move through some of the unforgiveness challenges, help you change your perceptions about what is going on in your life, help you feel less uncomfortable, help you feel less stressed. And they work really very magically. I call it magic, but both of these involve tapping on the Chinese meridian system, and the Chinese meridian system is what acupuncturists use. It's there are lines along your body that have these little, they call them subos, and that's where the acupuncturist inserts their needles. And when you tap along these using either EFT or faster EFT, it actually, people have reported physical healings. People have reported extreme stress relief. I mean, that's what I use it for, with myself and with my clients. Healing old traumas. It's really a very significant tool. It's great for PTSD. I personally like faster EFT. That's what I use for myself and what I use with my clients. It's a combination of tapping on the meridians. It combines hypnosis, which is really what we go into when we revisit something that happened in the past. I mean, really, when you're revisiting something that happened, when you were in grade school, or someone who offended you, or the past things that I had with someone I had a problem forgiving, I was really in a hypnotic state, because it wasn't happening now in the present moment. It was just happening in my imagination. And it also uses neurolinguistic programming, which is something that Tony Robbins is really famous for. That's how he became who he is now. And that is really focusing on the neurology of how you think. The neural is how you think. Linguistic is how you talk to yourself, because we all have internal dialogue, and the programming is just your subconscious, your belief systems. And so it takes all of that into consideration, and I love it because I just think it's a lot faster than EFT. It's very client driven, whereas I feel EFT is a lot more practitioner driven. So make sure you Google those, or Bing those, whatever your search engine is. We're running out of time. Oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I had more time to talk about this. Please do come back next week and listen. I'll be right here next Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific time and 9 p.m. Eastern time. You've been listening to Sylvia Henderson on Intuitive Transformations. Thank you so much for listening. Have a really great, fantastic week, and love to you all. And hey, be sure to visit me on my website, intuitivetransformations.net. Love to you. Take care. Bye.